We got to go back in time a little bit to get the full story out there, but it started back in October with me. I went to my employer with requesting time off. Her and I were having some family troubles, and our boy more specifically was having troubles at school. And when I say troubles, it's troubles that if you were to get the phone call from the school, it is it would wreck you. It's heartbreaking, the phone call that we got. Devastating. So I went to my employer, and I noticed that because of our relationship it wasn't doing the greatest, but 20 years together, I mean, we're having a bad patch. Not that we're getting separated or nothing. So I went to my employer requesting some time off, because I noticed my work performance dwindling. I've been there, I'm pushing 23, 24 years now at Nye County. So I noticed my work performance dwindling a little bit, and that's the start of my leave as the public works director there. A week went by, and they had scheduled me a doctor's appointment and some stuff to go get checked out myself, because I was talking, we were going to counselors, and we needed to get our boy to a counselor and things like that. So that started, and they put me on admin leave with pay, and I went and saw a doctor that they set up for me with a gauntlet of tests, psychiatric evaluations, this, that, the next thing. So
what was leading up to where you need to have psychiatric evaluation? Our
relationship, and when I got the call from the school, my boy, it really put me into a major, I was depressed as it was, and I've been being treated before that by Dr. Andraki, but it sent me into a greater depression. And I have anxiety and depression like you wouldn't believe, but that really sent me into depression, that call from my boy. If no parent should have that call, and no parent should have to deal with it. It's ridiculous. So she had just lost her father not long ago.
Yeah, that was a very trying time.
So we've had some devastating times. So during my admin leave, this is what's going to lead up to.
It didn't start out with admin leave.
Yeah, it did. I requested time off to use my accruals, and I was denied that. I was told I would be put on admin leave, and the county scheduled me a doctor's appointment. That's how it started. So during my time on admin leave, and now we're going to get to, I'm going to lead up to when we get to the night in question. That's all over Facebook, it's all over social media. So during this time, remember, this is at the end of October. So during the month of November, her and I, we fight and argue and battle, and we're still not doing that great. We're excellent. We're getting better, though. We're seeing counseling. We're being treated for that. It is just one of those things. I think everybody has gone through it a time or two in their life. It's not uncommon, I don't think. But during that time frame, if anybody has laid in bed
This is hard. Nobody really understands what we've gone through.
Just give me a second. If anybody's laid in bed, give me a second, without the will to get up, to even take a shower, to go to the restroom, let alone go to work. I had a friend of mine that we decided to go visit, and this I'm leading to the night, and there was some drugs there, and I did them. Let's put it that way.
We both did.
This is the way it was. I would have done. I was on the Zoloft. I was taking my prescribed medications. I would have done. Mind you, I'm off work now. I've been off work a month already at this point. I would have taken anything to lift my head up and to feel like a human being for a week, 2 weeks. It didn't matter to me. So that leads to the one time that I've done that, and her. I've been with the county over 20 years. I've drug tested regularly. I'm not a habitual drug user.
Randomly.
It's been random. I've never done it.
He's
I
never
did it.
had a positive test.
I was in a very bad state when that went down, and unfortunately, when you move forward in time, we have, and this is where it all stems from. Her and I have been in some pretty good fights. I mean, and arguments and knockdown, throwdowns. There's no denying that. The police were called 2 weeks prior to this incident in question, and we got them at the front door, and everything was fine. And it was just one deputy responded, and she left.
Can I explain that?
You can explain
The
that.
reason for that phone call, that was my mistake. It was a true mistake. And when I say mistake, what happened is he had a doctor's appointment. He had a scheduled doctor's appointment for a follow-up on his medications. He had been having a reaction to his medications. I called to see if he could get in sooner than his appointment time. And what had happened is, because he was so booked and I was so worried and I just wanted him in there, and because of everything that had gone on, I just was so tired of waiting. I told the gal at the desk, I said, you know, I just want to get him in, please. I wanted him to see his doctor, not somebody else. I said, you know, it's so bad. I think if this goes on any longer, he's going to end up killing himself. It was completely taken out of context. Truly, it was taken out of context. And the girl kind of froze up a little bit, and then I didn't realize how I had said it, and then it dawned on me what I said. And that's when she started saying she's a mandated reporter, and then another nurse got on the phone, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't mean it that way. And you could hear him standing next to me laughing during that phone call. And I was like, please, it's not that way. It's just, I just wanted it to go away.
It was an attempt to bump me up on the list for the appointment to get me in sooner.
But when I said it, it was not meant like a serious, you know how you say, oh, I have a horrible headache, I could hang myself for this type deal. That's what it was. And I didn't realize how it came off until the nurse sounded concerned. And I was like, oh, geez. So, but during this whole conversation, he was standing there, we were talking, we were laughing, and I was like, no, please, you don't understand. And then we hung up the phone, and him and I were talking, going, oh, great. I truly didn't think they would show up at the door. And they did. And the deputy came, a young lady came to the door, and we talked to her, and I apologized, sincerely apologized. He went out and talked to her. I mean, and it was a true mistake.
So they just went to check on you and see if you were actually...
A mandated
Because
reporter
of me mentioning him killing himself. Yes. That's what that was about. It wasn't a frantic 911 call or anything like that.
So you didn't ever call the police on that one? They just came and did a welfare check on you?
The healthcare
clinic,
partners
yeah.
did.
Okay.
Healthcare partners
And
did.
then that was the first time that they came to the house just to check on you and see if you're okay. And then they were called back on another day?
The 22nd.
No, this day, the one that's the videos all over Facebook, and the one that's that we're talking about now. That's the most current one. Yes. So as time moves forward, we're working on it. I'm still seeing doctors. I'm seeing Dr. Andraki here in town. Me and her are still working through issues. I'll just cut to the chase and get to that day that everybody's talking about. I've already went through the depression and sitting in bed for, and that feeling. But that day in question, that night, she had stayed at her mom's house. And it was terrible on me. I mean, it was a bad time. So I had woke up, and unfortunately, I started drinking a few beers, and I didn't have many, 3 or 4 maybe. But 3 or 4 since I've quit drinking, 3 or 4 for me now is a few beers. So I had started drinking, and I had started, it was Christmas time. I had the Christmas tree up. My kids were down at her mother's house. She was gone out of the house. With the depression and everything else going on, I literally was starting to lose my mind in my own home. I was looking at stockings.
It was the night before you took the trazodone.
Well, I know.
The next morning.
I know. So I was starting to lose my mind, and I had taken trazodone. And
2.
I had taken 2 trazodones that night. When I woke up, I had taken another half of one. And
What
then
are those for?
Depression, anxiety. Those are all for that.
They're sleeping or something. I'm not real sure. They're
for depression. They're depression. They help you sleep. Just anxiety. They're an antidepressant, like a Zoloft type medicine. So I had taken 2 of those that night to try and go to sleep. Her and the kids were gone. There was my stocking hanging in front of the fireplace, just mine. So that morning when I woke up, I had a couple beers, took a half of, and when I say morning, it was noon. I had a couple beers, and I had taken a half of one of those earlier, and I got into a state, to be honest with you, I drugged the Christmas tree out the front door. I was like, I'm done with Christmas. I'm done. I got into that mindset that I was done with Christmas. I was done with everything. I just did not care about nothing. So she ends up coming over, and when I was in that mindset, that frame of mind, the fight was on, just like that, between her and I. And
It was a worrisome visit is why I went over there.
Yeah, and she was worried about me.
I was worried is why I went over there.
When you start dragging your Christmas tree out the front yard, she started to get worried.
And he was
so she
sad,
come over,
very sad.
and I'm extremely depressed through this. I mean, this is the longest time I've been away from Nye County Public Works in 22 years. I mean, I've been a servant and a public servant there for a long time, since I'm 17. I started at the landfill as a summer kid and worked my way up through the ranks. So combined with our relationship, the stresses of that job, the stresses of my boy, I don't know. It was more than I could, this particular day, it was more than I could take. So the things that I was saying and doing and the way I was acting is where the phone call come in that you hear from her.
So you went over to your mom's house with the kids. Why did you originally go over there?
I went over there just to get a break from the tension, to talk to my mom. And my mom lives next door, so she's not far away. Well, she's 4 houses down, so it's not far. I mean, we walk. Or
You need
whatever.
to know, though, that I 100% blame myself and our fighting and arguing here recently for the boy. And they're that, I just do. So.
Without getting into detail and bringing up our children and bringing them into this, because I won't. I just want everybody to understand, if you were told what we were told and got the call that we got,
It's devastating.
and then I'm telling you, you'll never you can't understand it. Okay. Anyway,
Is your son okay now? Because I'm concerned.
we're working on it.
And
We're
he's
working on
being
it.
treated.
He's
We're going through a
being taken
counselor,
care of
and
very, very. He is
they're
my
very well taken
priority.
care of, yes.
Our children are very well taken care of, and he is my priority. Right now.
You have an almost 9-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just turned 13 on December 4th. And so much from February to now, it's just everything that has gone on has been too much. We have done everything the best we can, have attempted to keep our heads up the best we can, have attempted to keep it private as much as possible. So when all of this really started to take place on that night that the phone call was made, I was terrified. When you hear me talking in the video and you hear me saying, I don't know what to do, I was trying to get him help, it has nothing to do with drugs. It's nothing to do with drugs. What it is he is so depressed. And we've been together just about 20 years. We have grown up together. I have never seen him like this. He's the strongest person I know. He's the strength in our home. And to see this crumbling is devastating. And I didn't know what to do. And also being with the county for so long, I kind of looked at it, and this is probably dumb of me, but as though these people would be our friends, I guess. I don't know how else to say it, because it was just, they know him. They work together. I mean, the sheriff's department, he's the director of public works. That's what they have a close rapport together. So I kind of just looked at it that way, I suppose. Well, when he called me that morning, and the reason I went over there was basically, to answer your question, was to get away, just a break. I just needed to talk to my mom, just a breather, get my kids, that's all. And somewhat to kind of light the fire under his butt a little bit, to say, hey, you need to pick yourself up. Look, this is what it's going to kind of this is what it would feel like if we were gone, type deal, to be perfectly honest with you. Tough love, I guess you could call it. And in fact, that night, the night that we had went over there, my son and I sat in my Jeep in my mom's driveway and cried for hours, him and I. Hours. And
So are the kids seeing this? Are you guys
No.
fighting a lot?
No.
Did they see what went?
Yes.
Yeah, no,
But they do feel the tension. There's no doubt in my mind that, when her and I aren't speaking or there's animosity there. They feel
they're bright kids. It's obvious. It's very obvious. Has there been any arguments? I'm not going to say there has not been any arguments in front of our kids. Yes, there has. We're not perfect by any means, nor are we claiming to be, but
we limit it.
we're not the knockdown, drag out, blow for blow, type.
But this
And
night,
so this night,
was an exception.
They weren't there.
there was no children. They weren't there.
Their children weren't
They
there.
were not there.
Which probably could have led to it escalating.
Hold
the
on,
way it did.
let me. I do. This is one thing I do want to explain.
And it's not the night. This started at about 1 in the afternoon.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, this was later on in the afternoon.
1 or 2 in the afternoon.
So that morning, he and I had been talking, and he was very sad, very, very upset. For God's sakes, it's 2 or 3 days before Christmas, and we're all upset. And he's just crying and crying, and he's, again, losing my dad was incredibly hard on myself and my children and my family. It's been very, very hard. And so he was at home, and I heard he just worried me. Something was off about this day. I honestly don't know what, but something was off. So I went over there. I went down the street and I said, I'm coming over. I'm gonna, whatever. We're gonna talk. And I got there. When I got there, he's sitting in the bedroom, on the bed, not doing anything. He's sitting on the bed with our pictures, and just laying there. And he's just upset, and he's crying and crying, and we're talking. And now I'm getting upset, and just that my family has come to this, and it just escalated from there. And he got to the point where he was just, well, to him, I had walked out 2 days, 3 days before Christmas. His stocking, we had our stockings up, and there's 4 of us and our dog. And I had taken all the stockings down and left just his. And I did it, at the time it seemed like a good idea to, like I said, light the fire under his butt to, come on, let's, something. You need to snap out of this. We have too much history. We can't do this. Mm-hmm. It's been so long, and I think maybe I took the wrong approach. Maybe it sent him a bitch. I don't know. So that morning, that day, it just escalated. There was there's no domestic violence.
There's never any violence.
They're
I've never
talking
been
about
violent life.
domestic violence. The one thing that has very much bothered me about that post is it being labeled as domestic violence. It was not domestic violence in any way, shape, or form. There is a hole in our door, yes.
Let's talk about the video and the 911 call, because you're calling and you're saying that he needs some.
I dialed 751 7000 for the record. For the record.
So you
Whether that matters. I
you
don't know.
dial the Nye County Dispatch, and you can hear Tim on the door trying to talk to you.
I
And
took his cell phone.
yeah, and okay, and so then you're telling people that he's upset and that you want him to get some help. Yes. And then I think at the point that you kind of hear the escalation is when you're talking about the weapons and that.
I need to clarify that. Now,
I have lots of weapons.
in the video, we are avid gun owners. We have a safe. We have several guns. Okay, we have he has his concealed carry.
No, it's expired.
All of that. I thought he renewed it. Okay. And so it's not uncommon for us to have these things. Okay. He always has had just we hunt. We hunt. He hunts, bird hunts. We license whatever. And so during all of this, I had taken his cell phone. I don't remember why I took your cell phone, but I did for some reason.
I don't know if you broke it.
I did break it. I did, and I honestly don't know why I took his cell phone. Maybe I thought it was because I didn't want him to leave. I wanted him to stay.
The moral of the story to the guns, I didn't have any.
Well, no. I'm going to get to
person.
that. I'm going to get to that clip, and that video is very much wrong. You'll hear in that video, it says that you hear the young lady say, "What is he threatening with?" And then all of a sudden you hear me say a gun or a shotgun, or if I remember correctly, something to that effect. To me, what that sounded like was it. So what I got from the way it sounded on that was, it sounded to me like if I was an outsider listening to that, like he was threatening me with a gun. That is not even remotely the case. What the call was about, and I was afraid for him. I was afraid he was going, this was my own fear that he was going to go do something, possibly harm himself. He likes to go out and drive. He cools his head. We off-road a lot. We have off-road vehicles. That's what we do. It's a big thing that we've done our whole time together, the family, the kids. So it's not unlike him. This particular day worried me. And I can honestly say I truly don't know. I can't pinpoint why, but it did. And I didn't want him to leave, which I'm thinking that may have been why I took his phone, to keep him from leaving. I don't know. That's what that was about. So in that call, you hear me talking. There is a point in there somewhere that I'm talking about.
They ask if I have weapons.
They ask if he has weapons, but that particular clip that is on Facebook, when she says, "What is he threatening with?" that would be himself. What is he threatening to harm himself with is what the actual call says. And then you hear a lot of that cut out. And then you hear me say a gun, a this and that. And that's when I start telling the kinds of guns that he has, whether in his truck or wherever they're at. I was going to be upfront and honest that he has the guns, because I want the deputies to know that he's got them. I don't want any surprises. That's what that was about.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the video, because in the video, the officers ask you guys about drug use, and you talk a little bit about a few days before. Can you talk to me about that?
I have an Adderall prescription. Okay, I've had an Adderall prescription for a couple years now. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Adderall or what it is. It's used for depression, anxiety, ADHD, and whatnot. It is a controlled substance, and it is an amphetamine. I have a prescription for that. The meth that they were talking about was the partying him and I did, that time that we went out.
4 or 5
we had
weeks
already admitted that
3 weeks
prior to this, and that was not a secret. And when it was being discussed, there were so many deputies talking to me at one time. There was at least, if I remember correctly, I think they might have all been in there, 4, maybe 5. I hear them come in and talking about Timmy, and then they come in and walk into my bedroom. Now, see, they wouldn't let me leave my room or my kitchen. I was, so I didn't really know who was where. I just knew that they were coming at me from all directions. And I'm going to tell you what, by this point, I was scared to death. Now I'm thinking I have made a mistake. Now I'm thinking, what have I done? And let me reiterate why I think I've made a mistake. And I'm not talking about the drugs. I'm not talking about any of that as far as that coming to light. That was no secret. That had already been known prior to this day.
He asked about when you did them. Did you say on the video 3 days before?
No, you hear the deputy say 3 or 4 days. I did not.
And then did you say that you smoked it and that you weren't sure if Tim shot it up or something?
Yeah, when I said I'm not sure, I guess I could say he's not. That night in question. Not the day of the call, but the night we went. It was a bender. It was a few days, a bender. It's not like he was in front of me 24/7. Regardless of how he did it, he did it.
Do you inject methamphetamine?
No.
I've never done methamphetamines in my life, except for this time, this one party, this one time the deputies know, and That's it.
And how did you guys ingest it?
Snorted. I did.
Well, smoke it.
Yeah, I know. You know, I might have smoked it too that night. Probably a
To
little
be
bit
honest
of both.
with you,
And this was how long before?
This had been
2-3 weeks at least before this night, before the cops were called that incident.
Do you think that that had anything to do with the arguing? Because oftentimes drugs can.
possibly, but we didn't. It's not like it continued. When you see on the video me saying, and because there's a lot of comments on Facebook about how I'm saying we're not your typical drug users and this and that. Everybody needs
This
to
is one and only time I've ever
everybody
done it.
needs to understand that the situation and that the events of that day, this had been hours. Okay, I have never had cops in my home. I have never had any of this happen in my marriage. None of it. I'm humiliated. You know, I'm ashamed of it. Who is proud to admit something like that? Who wants to openly talk about it? You know, and what's the right thing to say? What is the right thing to say? So yeah, I did say some stupid stuff, but you know what? I don't claim to be perfect, but when I just in that video, no, I did not say 3 or 4 days. The deputy had asked me. I admitted to doing it, yes, and I'm gonna, you know, you'll hear the deputy say 3 or 4 days. You didn't hear me say 3 or 4 days. However, I would test positive because I take Adderall.
And then you said that Tim may be, when he came up presumptive positive, according to the Nye County Sheriff's Office press release. Did you take the Adderall?
I have.
He has taken it, but the
I have.
trazodone also
The
comes out. The
trazodone.
trazodone is a number. If you know much about those, the trazodone can come up. It is so. It's very likely that a lab usually will have to know if a person is taking trazodone before doing a drug panel because of the significance in false positives. Now, there's more to.
But I want
lead
to
up
get
to
back
that.
to, I mean, she made the phone call, and at that point, I go, and I didn't know the phone call was actually made. She had her phone, and she was threatening it, this, that. So at that point, I started to cool down a little bit, and I was dragging the Christmas tree back in the house. I go, all right, I'm going to put the damn tree back up.
And I actually had hung up on dispatch at first.
So when I'm doing that, I hear the sirens coming down Homestead. I go, well, I'm out of here. I'm not going to sit around and talk to these people. So I jumped in my truck and I went down and around the corner and I went up Mance Road. And I got up Mance Road to about Hafen Ranch and I go, you know what? This is silly. And I turned around. I go, I'm just going to go own up to the medicine and go back. And I didn't know if they were coming to the house or not. I just suspected it. So I come back around and I pull in my own driveway. And it's been, by this point, like I said, I only drank 3 or 4 beers and it'd been hours prior to that. You know, so I pulled back in my own driveway and I'm pulled out of my truck at gunpoint, cuffed in my front yard.
Oh my God.
And sat there, I don't know, I sat there an hour and a half or so.
It was horrible.
But anyway, during this time, they're interviewing me, they're interviewing her, they're back and forth, and I was asked to do a drug test on the site. Pee in a little cup that they have or something. I was just asked. At first, I go, you know, why the hell do I want to do that for?
What was
You know,
the purpose of that?
because I was told it's voluntary. I go, why would the hell I want to do that? And then I was asked a couple more times, and I go, you know what? I got nothing to hide here. Let's do it. So they found this little cup in a baggie, and we walked into my garage, and I peed in their little cup. And I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes went by, and I overheard him saying that he popped or something for amphetamine and methamphetamine. I go, what the hell? I mean, and I haven't done it. So I haven't done methamphetamine since the one time, and it was weeks prior. So that being said, we move further on in time. They get me in the back of the police car, and they're still interviewing her. They're
And we've
interviewing
never
me.
seen it.
We're going back and
We were never
forth,
shown.
and the deputies were talking to me in the back of the police car, and this is where I was told, I was told that they were going, because of what I said, my actions, her phone call, they were going to take me to the hospital for treatment. I think it's called an L2K.
a legal 2000.
Legal
An
2000. Put me on watch over there and make sure I'm okay. So, and that was it. No charges. They can't charge me for nothing. I was told that in the back of the police car. Those were my two options. Well, that was my option. Or the other option, I guess Lieutenant Murphy did say that the other option is arrest me for under the influence of controlled substance or something. So I go, okay. I go, let's do this. Take me to the hospital. And then the other deputy gets in the car next to me, and he starts talking to me about meth use. And when I've done it, how long I've done it. And I told him, I did the one time we went on a bender and we partied a little bit. And he went to write his number down. Very helpful. I know the guy. I've known him for a lot of years. And I like the guy. He's a wonderful guy. He writes his number down. He goes, look, if you ever feel like you need to do this stuff again, here's my number. You call me and we'll talk you out of this.
He did.
He's genuinely concerned.
Yeah.
And I told him in the back of that police car, I go, I don't need that. I don't need it. I don't want to do it. This is the part of the videos you don't see. I don't do it. I don't need that number. And that's where we went from there. So they continue their interviews, and I am being transported to Desert View Hospital. We get almost to the hospital, just about to turn into the emergency room, and the deputy transporting me gets a phone call on his phone, not on the radio. And he said that was Worley, Sheriff Worley, called and said, transport me to detention. So I go, what the hell? I thought, that's nothing that I was told or it was nothing I was told.
Not only that, but before they had actually left the house, the 3 or 4, however many was in the house talking to me, they continuously told me, and this is another part of the video you don't see, he's not going to jail. We're not arresting him. He's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong. What am I going to arrest him for? Possession? You don't have, or possession, and then I don't know what he said after that, but he says, he's done nothing wrong. I just calm down. He's not getting arrested. We're just doing this. We're just here to help. And I kept saying, I know, but I'm just scared. I'm scared. All I kept hearing was, he's done nothing wrong. He's not going to jail. So I felt, I thought, okay, he's in, good hands, I guess. And I had no idea that he left. I didn't know for hours later that he even was taken to jail.
So,
I didn't know.
Let me continue on. So we turn around in the Desert View right there. Well, we were just about to turn into the emergency room driveway. From there, he gets the call, and we go down Basin, go up to detention. We pull in their back lot there. And I'm taken into a little room with 3 chairs in it. And this is a part I don't really want to. I'm gonna throw it out there.
It's humiliating.
What the hell? It's
humiliating. I'm
thrown into this little room, and the room's fine. It's a little holding tank. I get it. They got to put you there until they do their stuff. But they open the door, and the chair, and there's 3 chairs. The one in the middle has these bloody rags on it. These napkins are covered in blood. The chair's got blood on it, and I told this guy transporting me, I go, don't cuff me to that. I'm not sitting there. Do not want to sit there. That's bad to me. They throw me in there anyways and cuff my left arm. I'm in this far left chair. The bloody rags would be where she's sitting. And I sat there for, a couple hours.
Snot all over the place.
So anyway, the jail portion is the jail portion. They have to do their job. But moving forward, she finally gets me bailed out at 12:35. And the stipulation was I go to Desert View Hospital.
They transported him.
They transported me down to Desert View Hospital, where I go into their suicide watch room.
The L2K.
The L2K room. And they do their blood draw. They do another drug analysis on me. And the doctor comes in, and he interviews me, an hour later, after he gets the results from all that.
We had an actual full drug panel done in a laboratory this time.
And this is why it's so a lot of inaccuracies out there. I get to the hospital, and you can see in the full report from the physician there, perfect eye contact, perfect blood pressure, the perfect speech. Everything is normal, including a full drug panel done.
All negative except for amphetamines,
all negative,
which we already knew.
Which I did test positive for amphetamine, not methamphetamine.
Meth.
So the doctor, he comes in and he writes in there that the trazodone, an Adderall possibly a few days prior, that I don't have a prescription for it. I'm sorry, she does.
And I told him that. I don't even. I got
it I was in, it's used for that. Like I told you, I would do anything to lift my head up during this time. So the positive amphetamine, and it's written in there from the physician, it can be the trazodone, it could be the Adderall. It's not methamphetamine.
I do want to read just a couple of little snippets.
I'm not a methamphetamine user. I've never have been, and I never will be.
I want to reiterate, first of all, the trazodone, because I know that comment's going to get torn apart. I don't have a prescription for trazodone either. Again, recently losing my dad took a great toll on my family and I. We went through terrible depression, my mom and I. And she had trazodone, she takes them or whatever, and she had like 10 Xanaxes that was prescribed to her. And I had a couple of them from her that, yes, I did have. And I'm not ashamed to say that if I needed it, I took a quarter or a half of one. Very, maybe on a 2 or 3 time occasion during this whole time. And that's how I have them, just so we're clear on that.
And you're prescribed.
Zoloft and what's that other stuff?
I don't know the name of the other stuff.
It's for seizures, intermittent seizures, possible intermittent seizures and depression.
Yeah.
Dr. Andraki said it's used for both.
Now, I do want to point out, in the police report, it states
I was not
very
given
clearly,
another drug test at the jail either.
No, not again. In the police report, it states his demeanor, I don't remember the exact wording, but his demeanor, his actions were that of somebody high on an illegal substance. That just hours later, this is a full assessment from a physician. It says here, eyes, normal eye inspection, ears, normal ear inspection, nose, normal inspection, mouth, lips, gums, normal, throat, normal, breathing sounds, normal, pulse, normal, perfect capillary refill, normal inspection, normal bowels, skin, warm, dry, musculoskeletal, non-tender, no edema, moves extremities within normal limits, appears well hydrated and well nourished, urine within normal limits, verbalizes, read this wrong one, let's see, I'm going to keep breathing, unlabored, circulation, normal, risk value, minor, he's awake, he's alert, oriented, cooperative, speech was appropriate, moves all extremities appropriate, normal gait, which is how you move, normal eye contact, maintains eye contact, cooperative, responds appropriately, neat, clean.
With anxiety.
Does that sound like somebody who's high on meth to you? Does that describe a methamphetamine person? It doesn't. Now, I move on to...
And now 2K, is the way I understand it, is a 72-hour watch. The physician told me to go home in a couple hours.
He sent us something.
All right, so where are you guys now? What are you guys doing? You have a court date now at this point?
I have a court date that is February 20th, pending charges of under the influence of a controlled substance.
Under the influence or possible use, I think it says, of a controlled scheduled 1, 2, 3, or 4 controlled substance.
And then are you going to be going back to work?
I'm currently on FMLA.
Okay. And so you can't go back until this is settled, right?
Well, the court case and all that, no. I'm on the FMLA. It is when a physician and my current doctors deem that they can release me back to work. So we met with the county yesterday. I met with my county managers, and we come up with an agreement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I still have some testing to do, and I still.
Yeah, regardless, we're doing that for
I'm going to do the testing regardless for our marriage, for my boys. The whole family's going, and we're going to sort this crap out one way or another.
I want to show you so you have visual proof of the negative toxicology. That's what I'm like.
We'll show people that on camera. So right now at this point, how are you doing?
Excellent. I'm better, and I don't know if this is a blessing in disguise. This has helped us in some odd, weird way. It's drawn us closer as a family. My boys as a family.
Yeah,
now my boy that was having all the trouble, he's kind of set that aside to help his dad.
Yeah.
All they can hear is your rustling peppers.
Sorry.
He's kind of set that aside to help his dad and get our family back on track. So whether it's a blessing in disguise, so be it. But that was the reason I wanted to come up here, is to be honest. And yeah, I've done it. I've one time in my life, and
then how are you doing?
I'm humiliated. I'm okay. I don't know. I'm mortified. I'm humiliated. I'm ashamed of the whole thing.
I can't go anywhere
I'm not.
without
I'm
somebody
not.
saying something.
I'm not. I don't claim, like I've said, to be a perfect person. I know, and I do know I'm mouthy, and that's quite a few comments, and I know that. But I also know that I love where I live, and I love the people here, and I've spent a lot of years in this town.
In family services.
In family services, helping, in nursing, the welfare division at the hospital now. The people I help, every single one of them I know without fail could come forward and attest that I genuinely care. I'm not this monster that I'm being made out to be. I'm guilty for being a mouthy person, yes, I know that, but I'm not what's being said on Facebook. My husband's not what's being said on Facebook. We're not these drug addicts that need to be kicked out of town. The things that they get, what's coming to them, the comments that are being made is yes, mouthy, but I don't know that I could ever speak to somebody like that.
I've spent the better part of
I was okay until last
23
night.
years in public service out here, building a reputation and integrity, and that can be you can be brought to your knees overnight for not. I'm not saying we're perfect, but for something that was off work. I've been off work for 8 weeks now. A one-time use mistake, and then a phone call that led to a drug test in my own home voluntarily because I had nothing to hide, led to this.
So you'll be going to court, and I'm sure you'll be taking all this paperwork with you. And right now, how are your kids doing? I know that there's a Christmas break right now that they are on. So are you concerned about what other kids will say?
I don't know.
I'm terribly concerned.
We're going to have to go to the school because Jordan is
I'm terrified of him
we're
going to school.
We're terrified. I don't know if I want
terrified.
to send them to school next week. Truly, I'm that worried. I don't. Our little guy, he's kind of somewhat oblivious, I guess. Our other one, he's very much as much as I try to tell him to stop, he wants to be there and support us. He's a good kid. What's right's right. What's wrong is wrong. He wants to fight for us, and I keep telling him no. But I'm terrified. I don't know if I'll be sending him.
But we
home.
have to go talk to the principal, yes, and see if there's something we can shield him a little bit, or get his work for a week and let it blow over a little bit and calm down, or whatever we got to do, we're going to do.
That's.
But yes, we're terrified.
They're my biggest concern right now from all of this, but.